them and speaking to them about the government policies and programs that are supposed to support the economy. So we really appreciate. Then we appreciate the consumers that came around to buy things, the feedback they gave to our manufacturers. It is a general appreciation. The house is happy. So we are very grateful. We thank the media as well.
Yeah, sure.
You did for us a great job.
Or is there to support you. Let's now go on to the statistics that were released, I think, shortly before the exhibition actually did come through. First of all, before I get into the nitty-gritties, what was your overview feeling about the results of the census? It comes only in a decade, it comes once, 10 years after that. This was the very first one we had, digitally sensitive, and it actually came much earlier. The results came in a little bit earlier than the other censuses have come through. In a nutshell, with a brief overview, what do you think about the results?
The results, I think the person, the executive director for UBOS, spoke to it, and that it was marred by errors. You know, Mildred,
to that he spoke about the other two areas. Not everything. He said actually all the others are fine. Yeah.
You see, human behavior is shaped by two forces.
Yeah.
One is the expectation and the reaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in this case, what did we expect?
Okay.
The truth of the matter is that the country expected better. You don't expect a national statistic to be marred by errors. There is no subjectivity to that. There is no minus or plus. So the expectation was that we were looking forward to an accurate, high confident level statistic as a country, because this is the exercise that had been prolonged again and again, thinking that the preparation was going on. We gave it time. We thought it was going to be better. Then the budget that went into it, we think 138 billion. Madrid is not small money.
Of course.
For us who pay taxes, it's not small money. For those who allocate, yes, it could be. Who spend, yes, but those who pay, it's not small money. So in terms of expectation, the expectation was high. We expected accurate statistic to begin with. Now, the second shocker that I wouldn't want people to have was that we could still see signs of inaccurate data that was going to come. Signs were there. Number one, we all knew that the preparation was haphazard. The training of enumerators took place in an haphazard way and for a short period of time, and it was already towards the end. So
how do you mean haphazard? Because like you said clearly, in the beginning there were issues of budget and everything that went on, and as UBOS, they believe that they did the training that they actually
you see, when you are doing the national service, it's beyond what you believe. This is an exercise that has got stakeholders. But when you pose a question, what is the perception of other stakeholders in the country in terms of the preparation, in terms of
it will always be different. Like if you asked about the perception of the Uma Trade Fair, the outsiders always have a different one.
Fantastic.
But I agree with you on the expectations. Please go ahead.
So we expected much better, but again we knew the results will come, but is most likely to be inaccurate. Because out there are so many households that were never covered.
UBOS says that, and I think that is one of your areas of contention. UBOS actually said they covered, the households that we currently have, as per the statistics, is 10,698,813 households as of the 2024 population data. Do you have any qualms with that statistic?
Definitely. Let's go basics.
Okay.
You have a media house. Run a quick survey and find out how many households were not counted. In a national census, there is nothing like you see this household is insignificant, therefore we are not going to count on it. And what caused this? Two things. Number one was that the time allocated to this elaborate tool was not there. The tool was too big to be covered in the short period.
That was 160 questions.
Yes, that was a constraint on the enumerators. You can survey them, they will tell you no single household that they were able to cover. So
Everything.
some of the questions they were jumped. And some of the households were jumped.
It felt like this is too much, even on the enumerators and even on the people. You're being asked 160 questions, and at some point in time, you're like, that does not matter. Okay.
So the preparation in terms of the tool, it was too big to capture this information in the time allocated.
Okay.
Now, the other issue is that these people that did the enumeration did not do the work well. So when you come back to the simple principles of processing, input or output is a function of input and process.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Precisely. So for those who were here and saw that tool, we knew it, that it would not be. But because the way UBOS was rushing, yet it was given a lot of time, the way UBOS left out certain key stakeholders in this process, we knew that this process would not give us the right result.
But you see, UBOS claims, and UBOS says that they had such a comprehensive, of course they also acknowledge that this is one of the longest questionnaires they've actually had, but they were looking for, you know how you get an opportunity and you want to seize it and use it for everything.
That's
so
the methodological error now
they were looking
about.
for an opportunity to have as much information as they could be able to get.
That's what we are saying precisely. There are certain
So you feel that was actually a problem?
A problem, yes. In the methodology, that was a problem. And we knew the time wouldn't allow to comprehensively cover
even
all
with
the
the
households.
extension that they brought in?
It still could not. And that's why you see, in far-to-reach areas, this is where we have statistical errors. So that tells you there is a problem. Then the training and the willingness of the enumerators had issues. So it is not a surprise that this report is questionable, and right now its reliability is questioned.
What is the biggest one for you? Because like we said, there is a lot encompassing a lot.
Now,
everyone is paying attention to their sector. Now for UMA, I know statistics is very important.
Manufacturers were interested in three things.
Okay.
Number one is we are running a private sector-led economy.
Sure.
When we are talking about population growth and you talk about economic growth, the point of tangency is that when you have a right statistic of the people, the allocation of resources becomes appropriate. Now, in this case, who appropriates growth resources in these communities? It is the private sector.
Sure.
Now, we don't want to rely on this, I would say, wrong statistic, and we start to make wrong decisions in allocation of these resources. Where are the resources I'm talking about? When we are talking about employment, it is the private sector to provide employment. Us in the industry, we are busy now taking industries into these local areas. But we need to have the right figures for labor. Number two, we
Even
need
for
to have the right figures for investment. We now need to have right figures for products we're going to produce for consumption. Now, when you start to tell us that we use the statistics for northern Uganda to plan for southern Uganda, then we have it wrong for the next 50 years. Because the challenge that private sector has is that investment, elasticity for investment, is so short or so rigid that you cannot say, I am putting an industry here and tomorrow I am reallocating it. With
it's
other
a
services,
long-term thought.
it is very rigid. In other services, you can. But when it comes to allocation of these industries, and that's why we are so concerned, we do not want to start fidgeting. We do not want to have data where you put it today and then tomorrow you put it off the website, and then tomorrow you are saying, I am sorry. Tomorrow you are telling us I am the best statistician. No, We want the best statistics, most right statistics to be able to make these decisions, and we spend money. It's beyond a report. We are now interested in the implications.
So you're disagreeing with these results. Then what next? If you are disagreeing with the results that have come out of the housing census, is it to say you want to carry out your own? Because we clearly know that what we have right now, as is at least until anything changes, these are statistics we're supposed to rely on for the next decade.
Not only the decade. You see, the census can take 5 years. But for us, when you invest, these are 50, 100 years investments. And once you get it wrong, you've gotten it wrong. That's where industry differs a little bit from these other sectors. The cost of investment, the investment outlay is so big that you can't keep changing it in 10 years.
But Dr. Ezra, I want to believe that investment does not only rely on the statistical aspect of it, the data. There is a lot of many others, although the statistics is just one of those important aspects to pay attention to, and probably there is room for...
I want to beg to disagree. The first unit, the most important unit in economic analysis is the household.
Yeah.
It is from the household that we get the labor. It is from the household that we market, we sell these things.
Is it that you believe that the households, the 813, you feel it is low or high? Because
it's not a feeling, it's a fact.
Okay.
That the coverage was not comprehensive to cover all the households.
Your belief is that there are more than the numbers that
are
UBOS
more
actually...
than what is being portrayed.
Okay.
Because I said, if we want to prove it, we have even challenged the other government and say, can you run a survey? Can you call people who say, my household wasn't counted? You see, mine personally, I want UBOS to produce this data.
Oh, you are not
I
home.
was never covered.
Oh, you are not home.
My home has 15
yeah.
people, but it was never covered.
Okay.
So what we are trying to say, can't we do better?
How do you plan to engage? Because I agree with you, and I love when you say, can we do better? Because it is, when there is expenditure, there should be an expectation of value
Precisely.
For money. How do you plan moving forward? Are you planning to probably engage Uganda Bureau of Statistics over what you think is not actually right with regard to the production of data and all that?
We are waiting for two reactions, as I said. We have posed a question. We only listened from the management of UBOS about the results.
Yes.
But there is a supervisory body in form of a board of UBOS. We're expecting to listen from them.
From the board of Uganda Bureau of Statistics?
Yes. What we heard from the manager was, I am the best statistician, take this with its errors. And we want to reject that.
No, he actually said the errors and agreed. I want us to actually be truthful to the viewers. They agreed to the errors and corrected. That is why they pulled down their statistic. But he said the other statistics are actually fine. He didn't say accept it with its errors.
Now, pose this question.
Yeah.
By the time it was uploaded, was it with approval of that board? This is a national statistic.
Good question to them to
validity of that statistic that was put there. What are the channels of validating it? Because these are the questions we are putting. We are again waiting to listen from the minister, from the board first. We want to hear from the minister. We want to hear the cabinet take a position and own this data. Up to now, we don't know whose statistic this is. And we want to say, we want to hear the actual positions being taken, so that we take this.
I would like to hear the proactive measures that you're taking, as opposed to sitting to it. Because I want to believe the minister, the line minister in this case would be Honorable Amos Lugolobi, directly under the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. The Prime Minister, who actually even launched the national report, the detailed report, was also part, actually heading the task force, the committee itself. She's the leader of government business, as you clearly said. So what proactive measures have you taken as opposed to waiting for them to be able to speak out?
We want them, we have put it to them, to explain to us.
Like in writing or?
Let it be in any form. We are part of the public, so we want to listen. But the truth of the matter is, the reliability of these statistics seem to be questionable. We want them to give us confidence in their statistics.
So if they come out and own, then the confidence will be built? I am trying to imagine.
Precisely.
Okay.
And then we want to hear, what about those households that were left out? How do we accommodate for that error? So that we now say, if we base ourselves on this plan, this is what is going to come out. So that is, those are the issues that we have with this statistic.
Okay.
But from the word go, we think that this institution called UBOS can do better as an institution. We are seeing a lot of individualism in that institution other than institutionalism. Because you did not hear someone say, this is the best institution for the statistics. He said, I am the best statistician.
Of course,
By
when the
whose
banks are being
standards?
given,
By the
when
standard.
we're hitting Oma, we will start with Dr. Ezra because you are the
That's
helm.
what it implies.
Yes.
Precisely, let's not hide about it.
Yeah, sure.
You own it.
Yeah.
Now, what we are trying to say, is there a way we can have an engagement to start to plan for the next census and we do it better?
I hear you. I hear you.
But the way this census was conducted, the process was marred by inaccuracies, and therefore the output is also. And then if there are surveys that we can conduct
To try and rectify,
to rectify this, we are very happy to do this.
What lessons do you think we should be taking out of this and as a country? Because, Dr. Ezra, it would be akin to the conversation we're having right now of national IDs. It is an issue of planning. You know this is going to come at a particular point in time. The monies are not there. You know LCs are going to expire, that anywhere comes to an end after this time. We get to that point and we're not. What lessons are we taking as a nation, actually, at large?
Let me first bring this to you, Gertrude. When you go out there and you see publications, statistical publications, and statistical products that have been analyzed,
yes,
you will see a trend where reliability on UBOS data goes down, is questionable. People are most of the time relying on databases from World Bank, from other sources. What does this portray to us? That our national database is questionable and we need to improve it. And that's why we're saying, in this we expected, actually the academia, the research institutions to be on top of their game to ensure that the data we get is accurate and right. It shouldn't be.
So you feel there was a loophole in terms of working as one concerted
precisely
team? Precisely.
The validation of that tool in respect to the research bodies and these academia bodies was not comprehensively done. So it was left to be a UBOS tool. And that is why we have ended where we seem to be ending. So we could do much better as a country in how we build that database for UBOS. So beyond the census, there are other surveys that we think we could do better with, and we start to build a national statistical database that is comprehensive enough, that is accurate, that has adequate variables, and then we can be able to say, this is the planning. We expected the National Planning Authority to be on top of this game to ensure that the statistic they give us is accurate.
The NPA seems to be okay with it. I did see Professor Pamela at the launch, and she was upbeat about the statistics and waiting to take action.
There is waiting, but there is again waiting for the right thing.
Okay.
Our concern is that can we do better?
Yeah, that's very true. And Dr. Ezra, thank you very much. You raise a very important point that while we are working on such important information, it takes everyone. It's not about saying, oh no, we will leave it to them. After all, it is their mandate to be able to do that. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. And I hope that you will probably be able to have a conversation with either the board or UBOS itself and the management, and some of these issues be ironed out, because everything is for the betterment of our country.
Precisely.
Yeah, it's not any individual.
The difference that this age has with the other age, then by then you could produce a report and it's there. But in the competitive world we are in, statistics, information, data is very, very important. You can't do anything without facts, and facts are hidden in these statistical databases.
All right, thank you very much. That's been Dr. Ezra, who is the Executive Director of the Uganda Manufacturers Association, sharing his thoughts about the just recently released National Population and Housing Census. He still believes and so much that especially the data on even the household statistics is quite inaccurate, hoping that there will be more and more engagement. And he's calling out the cabinet, calling out the line ministers to be able to own up this data if trust is going to be built in usage of these statistics. Thank you for joining us. Let's take another very short commercial break. We'll be right back.